All right, so A is this same A. That's the only thing that's the same. So when we do find our vertex, what we're going to use A for is we're going to do that over one up or down business. All right, so you might, f of x or y, don't get confused by that. F of x just is telling us it's a function, passes the vertical line test. So in this case, let's take a look. What would be the value of A, B, and C? For this guy.
Oh, 3x.
Just careful, there's something in front of the 3.
Oh, negative 3x.
Negative 3, and then let's not state the x part, just the number part.
6. 2.
And 2. Okay, so those A, B's, and C's, they're just going to be numbers. Now, here's two things that you can tell from standard form without doing any work at all. Look at A. Is A positive or negative? Negative. So the very first thing you can tell is what way the parabola opens. Who knows? Autumn? Down. Okay, because A is equal to negative 3, we know the parabola opens down. So that's the very first thing you can tell about the parabola. Also what that means is it has a high point or a max. Okay, the second thing, let's see if you remember. The second thing you can tell about the parabola without doing any work at all is where it crosses the x-axis. Did anyone pick up on that yesterday?
Two.
Oh, sorry, my fault. Thanks, Aiden. Y-axis, I misspoke. The y-axis.
Oh, then it's
The 2, yeah. So that last number is also going to tell you its y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis. So this crosses at 0, 2. In other words, it's going to cross at C for this one. So 2 because of this, right there. Whatever this number is at the end, that's where it crosses the y-axis, and A would tell us if it opens up. So for instance, if this had been a 2 in front of the x squared, it would open up. What if there's no number? What if it's just x squared? What's A then? 1, so it opens up. Okay, the axis of symmetry. This is review of vocab. Who remembers what it is? What kind of line is it?
Vertical.
Vertical. It's a vertical line. Let's fill that in.
That goes in the middle.
That goes through the vertex. You're right. The vertex is the middle of the parabola. And we write it in the form x equals whatever the x coordinate of the vertex is. Again, the axis of symmetry goes through the middle or vertex of the parabola. So I don't know what the axis is yet. I'm going to show you how you can find it. Okay? Do you remember seeing this yesterday? Negative b over 2a, and remember how we were doing that? Okay. The negative, so this is how you find the vertex in standard form. You have to do some work to do it. That's the bummer about it. It's nice because you can see the y-intercept right away, but you can't see the vertex. So you might need a calculator. Some of the numbers are pretty small on the ones that I choose, so they're going to be hopefully easy to calculate. So how we find the x-coordinate of the vertex, by the way, isn't the x-coordinate of the vertex the same as the axis? So if I ask you to find those things, it's the same thing. We're going to go ahead and find the opposite of b over 2 times a. So we're going to do that for this parabola up here. That's how we're going to find the axis or the x-coordinate. All right, so would you guys identify for me, remember how we found up here what A, B, and C were? How would you write the opposite of B? Yes, you want to be real careful. You're always going to take the opposite sign of B. So if it's negative, you're going to write positive 6. In this case, it's positive, so we write negative 6. On the bottom, we're going to write 2 times A. 2 times what's in the A spot? Negative 3. All right, this one we can do in our heads. We don't have to use a calculator, I hope. Isn't this negative 6 divided by negative 6?
Yeah.
Yes, what is that?
1.
1. So the axis, which is the same thing as the first coordinate of the vertex, is 1. Okay. This looks crazy. You're like, what? What does that mean? Do you remember what I said in the slide in the Decimus? What words were here? All this means is plug this number in for x in the equation. So we're going to just plug it in and we're going to find y. Okay, so let's do that. So this is my axis right here. To find y, we're going to plug it into our equation. So I'm going to go, Mrs. McDonald she made this thing. She didn't leave us enough room, did she? You want to do this up here or down here? I think down here. All right, let's plug this in. So instead of negative 3x squared, what's the x value? What did we find for x? Didn't we find 1? Yep, so this is, we're going to plug in 1. So we're going to do negative 3 times 1 squared plus 6x. So we're going to write plus 6 times 1 plus 2. Okay, Santos, what's 1 squared?
Huh?
What's 1 squared?
2.
1 times 1?
Oh, 1.
1. Okay, so we have then negative 3 times 1 plus, isn't that just negative 3? Plus 6 plus 2. Can you guys tell me what that equals? Shout it out when you figure it out. I heard somebody say 5. Is it negative 3 plus 6, 3? And 3 plus 2 is 5. All right, we have our points. Our vertex is 1, 5. Would you plot the points? 1, 5, all the way up here. I'm going to label it. Well, how am I supposed to graph the parabola? Use the A. What's A? Negative 3. So now what should I do? Go over 1, down 3. So I do that. Over 1, down 3. 1, 2, 3. Over 1, down 3 on the other side. And I'm going to point out to you, doesn't this happen, when I did that, doesn't this happen to cross at 2? And doesn't that match what we know about the y-intercept? Okay, but this computation piece, that's probably going to be the hardest thing for you today, is just, we're going to make errors. I know we are. All right, let's do another one. Oh, good, she left a lot of space on this. Okay, let's do this. So we're going to first find the axis of symmetry, which is the x coordinate of the vertex. We're going to do the opposite of b over 2 times a. Let's find b in our parabola. Isn't it 12? So what am I going to write for the opposite of b?
6.
Wait, what?
Right?
What's the,
I'm confused. Oh, negative 12.
negative 12 over 2 times a. So 2 times negative 2. This is negative 12 divided by negative 4. Okay. Now here's what I'm going to tell you. If you are really bad at computation, you should definitely, I'm going to show you how you can plug that 3 in, and you can use the little calculators too, because they have a parentheses to eliminate any errors at all. Okay, so let's find the y coordinate of the vertex. We know the x coordinate. We're going to plug it in. So I'm going to write negative 2 times what? 3 squared plus 12 times 3 minus 7. Here's what I mean by this. If you haven't, it doesn't even have to be a graphing calculator, a calculator like this that just has the window on top, which my pink ones do. You can type this in just how we did that. And that's going to cut down on some of your errors. Okay? Do you see how I just typed this in exactly like I see it here? Okay. You get 11. Now, if you have done this by hand, it would be negative 2 times 9, negative 18, plus 36, minus 7. It's still 11. But I'm just trying to show you some ways you can cut down on your errors. Okay, so what point should I plot then?
That is.
311. Way up here. Somebody tell me what else to do. Autumn? She says, look at the A, over 1, down 2, over 1, down 2. We could figure out what those points are. That's 4, 9, and let's see, 2, 9?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to give you another little point that you could graph. Isn't the y-intercept negative 7? So now it's going to be hard for us to draw this neatly, but you could also put that negative 7 point just so you kind of get the width of it. See how I do?
Why you gotta go down to negative 7?
Well, I knew it had a y-intercept of negative 7. So I just went ahead, since I knew that, and plotted that point. Okie dokie. Does this open up or down?
Down.
Down. What's one point to the left and the right of the vertex? If you labeled this on your graph, just draw an arrow there. Just those guys. What was the y-intercept? It was 0, negative 7.
I got the slag.
What's that?
Huh?
What?
Nothing.
Okay. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something. Is this one in standard form? No. I'm going to quick show you how you could get from vertex to standard form. Understand that we're going to spend a lot more time on this on Friday, but I'm going to just show you on this one because I think you all remember how to multiply from unit 7, right? I hope. Just remember distributive. Yeah. Remember, Santos? Distributive?
Yeah.
Are you just saying yeah? Okay, so let's take a look at this and try to now say, okay, what do we know from vertex form and what do we know from standard form? So before I distribute, if something's in vertex form, I should be able to identify the vertex and I don't have to do the negative b over 2a if it's in vertex form. So I'm going to do that. What is the vertex of this? So I know the vertex is 2, 8. Okay, do I know if the parabola opens up or down?
Down, no. Down is 2 negatives. Positive.
Okay, the only thing I don't know is the y-intercept. Why? Because this isn't in standard form. But I know I could still graph this. This is what you guys did a really nice job of in your opener today. So let's graph it. The vertex, put up 2, 8. And A is negative 0.5. So I'm going to go over 1, but down only 0.5. So over 1, down 0.5. Okay, I'm not going to draw my graph yet. Okay. Not quite yet. If you want, what you can do is then multiply it out and get it to standard form to find the y-intercept. That's why I'm not graphing it. How do you do that? I'll show you. What this really means, squaring something, is multiply it by itself. So x minus 2 squared really means x minus 2 times x minus 2 plus 8. So what I can do is I can FOIL this out. I'm gonna, first, because it's a lot of distributing, I don't wanna do two distributions at once. I'm gonna just distribute these guys, and then I'm gonna multiply by the negative 0.5. All right, what's x times x? X squared. I'm gonna do this fast. Minus 2x plus minus 2x. Those are like
Negative
terms.
4.
Negative 4x. And what's negative 2 times negative 2?
Negative 4.
Positive
Oh.
4.
Positive 4.
Mhm.
Jet
Now let's distribute our negative 0.5. What's negative 0.5 mean when we multiply? Isn't it the same as like dividing by 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is negative 0.5x squared. Negative 0.5 times negative 4 is plus 2x. Negative 0.5 times positive 4 is minus 2. And then I have the plus 8 at the end. So now I'm very close to standard form. We can put these two together. What does that make?
6.
That makes a 6.
Yeah, because it goes negative.
So what's the y-intercept?
6.
6.
So that's my y-intercept. So Santos, now I'm going to put my 6 on there.
Yeah, sure.
And actually, if you wanted to, you could go around the other side and put it on the other side too. And there's my parabola. And that's just a little bit more accurate graph.
You have to put it in.
Hmm?
You have to put it in.
Do I have to? You don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Okay.